Behavior Augmented and Alternative Communication Board, written by Kelly Simpson-Lembo, and it's for SPED 4263, Assistive Technology, with Dr. Min Chi Yan, written on March 27th, 2008, Northeastern State University. Reasons as to why behavior can occur with children with autism. Here you have the behavior chart, which clearly explains the why of the behaviors that you can typically see with a child with autism who is unable to verbally and clearly explain why they are acting out. While no child with autism is the same, this is always a way to play detective and having to try and figure out the why. There are 4 main categories that could be the triggers of the behaviors of children with autism. The 4 main characters are as follows. Attention, they want your attention. This is where they will startle and redirection can occur. Attention for positives. Ignore the behavior. If the behavior escalates, are you still able to ignore it? And attention to him or her, negative or positive. Escape. It is their way to try to get away from the situation. Their continue, but stress level may go up. Check efficacy. Should we push the child? This is not physical, this is emotionally. Limit the activity, use of the schedule. Tangibles. There may be a certain tangible, for example, toy, sweet, etc., that they want. Tangibles can be used for bribery, which is bad rewarding, chaining, superstitious learning, which can lead to pick up the chain and disconnect it. Alternative acquisition, let him earn it. Make task easy or free flow reinforcement. For example, if you have 20 questions that need to be answered by the child, offer to them, you may do 10 of the 20, which is 50%. Sensory is the last category. They need a sensory input. Sensory is the hardest to deal with, highly addictive. Check modality, startle and draw attention to concrete indifferent modality. Check boredom and stress, increase speed and decrease difficulty. As Dr. Stephen Shore stated, if you've met one person with autism, you've only met one person with autism. Behavior and how to stop inappropriate behavior. Visual supports can be very useful in relation to all areas of behavior. They can help to establish boundaries and rules, or to give praise. Here are some examples of how visual supports can be used in this context. For praise, in order for you to say good listening, you would show a thumbs up for good and your ear for listening. Demonstrating appropriate behavior, you have the sentence, when the teacher talks, I must be quiet, look and listen. You have a picture of a teacher. a facial expression with talking, the finger up to the lips for being quiet, eye for look, and ear for listen. This statement can be displayed with behavior cue cards that can be placed on the student's desk. In order to show a negative statement for negative behavior, you would wave your finger, do not, and then show a picture of hit, and that would be do not hit. Difficulties in communication can on occasions result in negative behavior. It is also difficult to get a message across verbally when you are upset, anxious, and/or confused. Verbal behavior strategies could provide the individual with an alternative method of communicating at different levels of behavior. By removing all the gray areas at a vulnerable time, it can help to simplify a message and reduce anxiety. Here you have a summary, when to use, tips, how to use, and a basic tip on how to use behavior chart cards. A summary of the behavior chart charts is visual reminders of behaviors that may help to reinforce or replace verbal directions or prompts. When to use visual supports to replace verbal directions or prompts, or make them more effective. Use to quickly and quietly redirect a student. Tips on how to make these successful. Make sure that the student has the desired skill before using behavior cards. A student must be taught how to sit in seat before a visual will help them remember to sit in their seat. Think about what you want the desired behavior to look like and sound like. For each student, sitting in seat may look or sound different for each student. Teach the student based on their abilities and needs. This is how you would use the behavior card charts. Select simple, single-step directions for use on cue cards. Each card should feature an image with text that the student recognizes. 2. Use the cue cards to visually reinforce verbal directions or prompts, or as non-verbal reminders. 3. As always, hold the cue card where the student can see it when giving a prompt. 4. Consider giving several on a key ring or lanyard for easy access to your most commonly used prompts during one-to-one student interactions all through the day. Last tip, using photos of the student or students engaging in the behavior rather than line drawings on the cards may help them connect the visual to their own behavior. This is a behavior chart showing green choices, which are good, and red choices, which are bad. This shows what not to do and what is acceptable. Students sometimes don't know how to communicate or touch appropriately with behavior. Visual pictures can show what is appropriate and inappropriate. I created this chart for a student of mine that needed to see visually what was the good choices, green, and what were the bad choices, red. Here you have pictures showing sharing, walking in a line, shaking hands, doing sign language for thank you, doing work on the green side. Then you have red, which is arguing, shouting, fighting, hitting, telling the teacher no, cursing, ripping paper up, biting, hitting, throwing, etc. Training for use of behavior chart cards for teachers or parents, support personnel, and/or other individuals that will be working with a nonverbal child with autism. This chart card will be laminated, and parents, teachers, and other support personnel will be taught that they can use an expo marker to cross out the inappropriate behavior that the student was displaying or engaging in. If the student is in a classroom setting, a teacher can show a stop sign card and point to the inappropriate behavior. If the student is displaying good choices, the teacher can show a green sign card and point to the appropriate behavior, or they can show a thumbs up. This is the traffic light system. This system shows the behaviors and what color they represent. This is geared more towards middle school age students. There will be signs displayed in the classroom as well as red, yellow, and green cards. When the student displays level 3 behaviors, a red card will be shown to the student, and then the teacher can point to the inappropriate behavior that was displayed. Level 2, which is yellow, would show behaviors of disrespect, disobeying school rules, inappropriate language, and dishonesty. Level 1, green, is acting angry, interrupting, showing frustration, inappropriately, negative action or words. This can also include not cooperating and refusal to work. This system uses both visual and written instruction to indicate the type of behavior and action that need to be taken. Red would show that the student would quote unquote, "I have blown. I need to find a space where I am safe." Yellow, "I need to find a person to talk to and ask for help." Hands down, for example, "I will put my hands down if I flap them as a coping mechanism." This coping methods that can be used would be headphones, finding a quiet space, stress balls, etc. Green, "I am okay." It can be useful to incorporate a person's special interest in their visual behavior supports. For example, use a picture of the special interest to divert a person from getting upset. When I start to get stressed, I will look at pictures of my special interest and take deep breaths. The traffic light system can be beneficial for teachers and administration as well. It will collect data as to when the students are leaving the classrooms as a result of behavior, which hour or period, whether it is attention-seeking behavior or multiple offenses just to leave the classroom. It can also be a benefit and track which teachers are sending out which students and when. There will be 2 of each color, red, yellow, and green, in each teacher's classroom. They will have their room number on them as well as their name. Students will be required to have these when they enter the office. The students will then sign the color of their pass, red, yellow, or green, clipboard with their name, teacher's name, date, time they left the classroom, and the time that they arrived. Here you have nonverbal cues for behavior management. Nonverbal communication can also include body language. Nonverbal cues that teachers can use in a nonverbal communication classroom would include body posture, gestures, facial expressions, eye contact. Examples of nonverbal communication of this type include shaking hands, patting the back, hugging, pushing, or other kinds of touch. When someone is talking, they notice changes in facial expressions and respond accordingly. Some other examples are sounds, for example, laughing, ways of talking, pauses or stress on words, posture, whether you're slouching, appearance, untidiness, head movement, whether you're nodding, hand movement, whether you're waving, eye movement, if you're winking, facial expression, frowning, body contact, shaking hands, and closeness, invading someone's space. Here I have included sign language. Sign language is a fun and motivating way to maintain behavior management in the classroom. Signing symbols can be used for things like using the bathroom, getting a drink, being quiet, sitting down, standing up, yes and no, having a comment, having a question, getting a pencil, or just having the answer to the question. You will notice I have included the posters for the classroom in the upper left-hand corner of this slide. Sign language can be used for students who are nonverbal and can also be used as a behavior tool as well. Here you have signs for not, please, thank you, more, all done, help, play, please be quiet, slow, don't, listen, I'm ready, okay, hello, and it's time. By using facial expressions and hand placement, the student can see whether you are unhappy with their behavior or happy with their behavior. Facial expressions are key with students who are hard of hearing or hearing impaired. Here are other available options that I found searching the web. You have behavior cue cards. You also have warning charts. Software that's available to create these boards. Board Maker is a very popular use that we use in my school with Broken Arrow Public Schools. It is easy to manage. It is easy to make the boards, the cue cards, and the Velcro charts that these students need in order to be successful. What is nice about BoardMaker is you can create, assign, track, and play activities on any computer at any time. There's automated standards and IEP-aligned data tracking and reporting. It supports universal design for learning and results-driven accountability. This is a statement from a special education teacher. I adore my kids and will do anything to help them succeed. BoardMaker Online has changed the way I teach because it allows me to easily customize their daily activities in a consistent and fun way. It's almost like waving a magic wand and boom, success. Grace, special education teacher. Finally, these are some of the websites that I have gotten some of my information from. If you would like to have more information, I recommend going to these websites. They were a wealth of knowledge. Thank you.